Control. Still holding on to a pretty narrow lead here. HC out for SCUMP. Can it connect? No flak jacket there. He's going to turn and burn another. SCUMP going huge when his team needs him. He's 29 and 16. Making 30.
Right
he's on a 5 streak. 75 off his Lightning, and SCUMP, the king, is taking control.
Really bad situation for this team. Of course, they get pinned in, but they do have 2 flags, so bear that in mind. So if they lose that position,
they have the trip cap, and they're going to hold it as well. Scumpy gets the knife, and he does. He gets the knife on Rambo Ray. There's going to be more players pushing Scumpy. The second knife in a row. Scumpy a man on a mission. 3 kills for Scumpy. Oh, he has just lit up the main stage. But Scumpy, whilst all that's going on, he's just sitting there picking up free time.
I mean, that was nasty. SCUMP right there. I mean, not Crib right there, but SCUMP actually put a nasty play on. Oh, wow. Able to take out Hugan Optic.
That's what I like to see.
It's over! So come back, Uplink, man! It's over!
Hey, what is up, guys? It's your boy Kingdom, and I'm back with another video. I'm excited for today's video. If you didn't see the last one that I did on Aches, this is just a series where I am recognizing people who I would consider the greatest of all time. Players, professional Call of Duty players who have made it all the way from way back in the PCL COD 4 days, Black Ops 1 days, and are now playing in franchising and have had a lasting impact on competitive Call of Duty. And I believe without these players, our esport may not even exist, and it definitely wouldn't be what it is today. And there is nobody who I believe has had a greater impact and has been more important to the rise and the continuous rise of competitive Call of Duty than Seth Abner, also known as SCUMP. Now, there's a lot of reasons. I can come up with a lot of reasons why this guy is so important to our esport. It could be his millions, his 2.5 million subs on YouTube with his over 530 million views. It could be his 2 million something followers on Twitter. He is the most followed. He is the most watched. You know, when Hector in the beginning of the campaign said he wants the Huntsman, the Chicago Huntsman, to become the most entertaining and most viewed, most followed team, well, he started with the right person. Many people would say that the person that I did the former GOATS video on, Aches and TP, would be the greatest duo in the history of competitive Call of Duty, but I beg to differ. I believe that the greatest duo in competitive Call of Duty history is none other than SCUMP and Hex. They are the ultimate duo who have been playing together for so long, none of us can really remember when SCUMP played for anyone else. Scumpy is the only 2-time X Games champion, and there's only one Call of Duty where SCUMP didn't win a championship on. And for most of us back in the day, you know, Hector used to say, let's just act like World War II didn't happen. Like that whole season, let's just blank it out of our minds and act like it doesn't exist. He, of course, is famous for being a part of the first ever team house with Big Timer, Merc, and Nade Shot, which would become an iconic, like all the other teams started to do what Optic was doing because these guys were so entertaining. He is easily one of the greatest pub stompers that there is in the competitive Call of Duty scene. And one of the things that he's done to grow our esport is play pubs and put it on YouTube. Back in the day, in the Black Ops 2 days, most people found competitive Call of Duty in the Black Ops 2 days because they found SCUMP or Nade Shot on YouTube. And many people could say, you know, Nade Shot was known as America's favorite gamer, and yeah, definitely Nade Shot had a lot to do with the growth and the initial takeoff and growth of Call of Duty esports when it expanded and got a lot bigger. However, he paved a road that Scumpy walked on, and no one since then has done such a good job. To the point that when people stop teaming with Scump, they start losing views, they lose subscribers, they not as many people watch their streams. He is one of the most prolific players that we have, and easily and arguably the most entertaining. But I want to highlight a few moments in Scump's history that I would say, if they would have been different, it could have changed the course of competitive Call of Duty forever. And why I consider him one of the greatest of all time, and in my opinion, the most valuable Call of Duty esports professional ever to our esport. He is the most valuable that we've ever had. And I could say that he won the back-to-back X Games. I could say that he won champs back in 2017 in Infinite Warfare with the storied greatest roster in the history of competitive Call of Duty. But I want to speak specifically of some moments that Scump made decisions, and if he would have made a different decision, it would have turned out different. Starting with all the way back in 2011, very controversial moment when Proofy and Scump were traded and swapped out for each other. And Proofy went from Optic to Leverage, and Scump went from Leverage to Optic. And he didn't know what he was going to do. He didn't know what he was going to decide, but he knew, like he wanted to be on Optic Gaming. Rambo had sent him a DM, and it was one of the greatest moments of his young career. And when he had the opportunity to join Optic, he wanted to take the opportunity, even though it was a controversial trade. And many people would consider it, the old school term of sketching. You can't really do that anymore. Now, we have a professional esport where trades are done in the ownership room rather than by the players on Twitter or over the phone. But that trade, just imagine if he would have decided to stay with Aches and TP. Just imagine what would have happened. And they were doing good. They won a few tournaments together, including Scump's first LAN ever against Optic Gaming. He won the MLG Dallas in 2011. But imagine if that trade didn't happen. The second one is when he left Optic Gaming. And this was a moment, it's a blip in the radar of the history of Optic Scump. And he grew tired of living with and teaming with Nadeshot. And it became obvious to the entire community. They lost an event, and the way the story goes is that by the time they got back to the house, Scump was like already gone. Like he left, and he had called Hastro. He didn't want to play with them anymore, and he was going to join, I believe, Merc and Goonjar on Envy. And Hastro, of course, started to, in his mind, go, "Oh my gosh, I got Scumpy. I got Scumpy." Like, he is a franchise player. I said this in a video. The video at the beginning of this, I actually wrote the script for that video. And something that I wrote in that script is that at that time when I made that video, and I think when Deadly Creator made that video, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, whenever we made the video, something that was said was that there is no team that exists that wouldn't trade one of their players for Scump. I still believe that is the truth. I do not believe there is a team in franchising that if Scump said, "I'll join your team if you're willing to drop anybody." I don't believe there is a team that exists that would not do that. It would be like a team in the NBA not taking LeBron James. And the reason is because of his star power and what he brings. And in this moment, when Scump left Optic and went to Envy, now he was only on Envy for less than 2 weeks. And that's really what I want to talk about, is not him necessarily leaving Optic Gaming. That was kind of an obvious moment, and I called it. Nobody believed me back then when I said Scump's gonna leave because he wants to win, and they're not winning. And Scump is a winner. Before he is a teammate, before he is loyal, he is a winner. And he may have changed, since then. But back then, that Scumpy, there was no way he was staying on that team, and he did leave. And he went to Envy, and Merc and Goonjar are getting all excited, and they're gonna get a fourth, and it's gonna be, and then 2 weeks later, he's back on Optic Gaming. If he didn't go back to Optic, and I don't know, honestly, they've never released the details on the deal, between Hex and Hastro, because I don't that must have been like, I don't know what Hex said to convince Hastro to give him back the most valuable player in our esport. Like, how do you, hey man, Scumpy, he made a mistake, and I'm sure, mom of Scump was hitting up Hastro, and they were all just like, Scumpy didn't mean to do this. He didn't want to. And I believe that Seth said he was able to leave Optic because he wasn't in contract. But I can't believe that Hastro gave him back. Bravo to Hastro. And one of the best and most storied owners in the history of our esport, definitely a GOAT owner when it comes to Call of Duty. And he gave back Scump, and that was one of those moments that changed competitive Call of Duty. It changed the landscape. I mean, I remember I made a video, Scump leaves Optic, and 2 weeks later I made a video, Scump returns to Optic Gaming. Like the only fastest trade that we ever saw like that when it came to Optic was Parasite. Much love to Parasite. I love him as a player, but that moment was a game changer. It was a game changing moment. And then there was a few decisions that were made when Scump became the captain, when Nadeshot decided to take a break. I don't want to say he got dropped because it doesn't seem like he got dropped, but when Scump and Nadeshot recruited Formal and Crim6, that was another moment, a game-changing moment in the history of competitive Call of Duty. And here's the thing that people have to understand. For many years, people would complain about Optic, called me an Optic fanboy. Anybody that reported on Optic was an Optic fanboy. And everybody just hated Optic if they couldn't be a part of the green wall, because it was just this big thing. Once you joined, you got all these subs and all these viewers and all these followers, and it changed your life. And everybody wanted to be on Optic Gaming. Everybody wanted to, but there was a reason everybody wanted to be on Optic Gaming. Everybody wanted to be a part of what Scump was doing. Everybody wanted to be a part of Seth's media craze. And back in those days, there was a lot of people that wanted to be a part of the team. And for Scump and Nadeshot, it was a big deal when they traded Proofy and Clayster for Formal and Crim6. And it was actually a decision that at first people didn't like. Crim6 was like the villain. He was like, it wasn't like picking up Aches, but Crim6 was like right there with Aches, and so Crim6 was the guy that had beat Optic. Crim6 was the guy that was so dominant. And then when they picked up Crim6 and Formal and dropped Clayster and Proofy, the team that had won X Games, and everybody was so excited, and they were a great team to follow. Like they really fit the persona. Like when they had that squad, Scump, Nade, Proof, and Clay, it was such a great squad, a feel good squad. But again, Scump wanted to win. He was a winner, and they became one of the most dominant rosters in history. And they did pick up a few chips with Nadeshot, and so, but when they lost champs with Nade, dropping Nade, and then Scump became the captain of Optic Gaming and picking up Karma, the rest is history. These guys would go on to just win and win and win and win and win for like 3 straight titles. They were the most dominant team. And then, they had a blip on the radar, and they seemed to not be able to get that championship. But making that decision to pick up Formal and Crim6 instead of Clay and Proof, I'm sure it was a difficult decision, but it was one that was a game changer. And then picking up Karma, another game changer, not just because of what it did for Optic, but what it did for Nadeshot. We wouldn't have 100 Thieves. We wouldn't have all of everything we're seeing right now with Nadeshot, where this dude is like, I don't have to be the best on the sticks. I can be the best. I mean, Nadeshot is when it comes to content, this guy just has always been the best. He's always been the greatest, and picking up the mob and picking up Courage and picking up Ray and just all the decisions that this guy has made. It all stems from that decision way back then when he decided to take a break from competitive Call of Duty. And that was a big moment in Seth's history. And I guess the biggest and the most important thing that Scump has done in his history as a competitive Call of Duty player, and the most influential decision that he's made in my decision, is staying with Hector Rodriguez. That duo is an all-time great. And so many of those trophies, probably 90% of the trophies that Hector has in the hex quarters, are a result of his combination with the Ginger Ninja, with Seth Abner, with Scump. Scump, you're not an all-time great. You are the all-time great. You somehow continue to get better and better and better and better and better. And I am so happy that you are still around in franchising and dominating. You put together a roster, but the thing is about you is that you didn't put together a roster that would carry you. You didn't put together a roster that, you can just kind of not play as well on. You put together a roster that is dominant, but it also is dominant because it has you on it. You are still one of the best players in competitive Call of Duty. And I love your tenacity, your drive, your desire to win at all cost. And you are easily the most entertaining competitive Call of Duty player in the history of our esport. And I'm glad that you're still around. I'm looking forward to what you're going to do this year with this crazy awesome team that you've put together with the Chicago Huntsmen. You and Hector, the sky's the limit for you guys. The sky is the limit. I'm glad you reunited with Formal. I can't wait to see how that goes. I think at this point in your career and as a young man, 24 years of age, and you're moving forward in your life, I don't think egos are going to get in the way this year. And so I'm excited to see what the Chicago Huntsmen are going to do. Thank you, thank you, thank you for staying committed to competitive Call of Duty at the level that you have. I'm always going to say this because this is what I say. Please continue YouTube content. I look forward to any year of competitive Call of Duty when you're making YouTube videos. And I don't care what you make because it's entertaining and I love it. You are probably the most consistent channel that I've watched over the years, especially when it comes to competitors. People like Attach, and even Octane is on the grind right now from Seattle Surge. Like watching these other players, you pave the road for that. You open the doors for that. And thank you for continuing to stream and make videos. Nevertheless, this is your boy Kingdom. You guys let me know in the comments what's your favorite memory of Scump. What is your favorite memory of Seth Abner? I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.